Well, Matt, it's time for another marketing mindset, and here's what I want to talk to you about today.
Okay.
Our clients, almost all of them are route-based service businesses, residential, commercial. And I think one of the issues that I always see with internet digital marketing when it comes to route-based businesses that operate in a finite geography is route density, right? One of the most important things for a route-based business is to have a very dense route, because if you have a very dense route, you get a ton of field efficiency, it increases your gross margin. And door-to-door companies are great because you're sending out sales guys into a neighborhood to market to everyone in a subdivision, for example. But it's harder to do that with digital marketing. So enlighten us today. How do we use digital marketing for that?
How do we use digital marketing for route density? So I think the first thing to think about before you kind of determine how to use the tool is to determine who you're using the tool for, right? You've got to spend some time and figure out where it is that you're trying to grow and where it is that you're building a route density. One of the things that you can do inside of your CRM is literally take an export of your customer database to kind of isolate where are we dense, how can we capitalize on that, right? But when you're ready, when you've kind of done that research and you're ready to start to saturate particular markets, you can do a couple of things. I'll start big and then we can kind of file it down, right? If you're thinking of using Google paid search, the instrument for Google paid search can isolate according to lookalike audiences, right? But for a targeting perspective, it gets us down into a zip code, right? We can target DMAs, right? Whole markets, or we can isolate clusters of zip codes, right? The problem with that particular instrument is that is much more refined than a large market, but it's still not so articulate where you're taking a neighborhood in the town of Matthews, North Carolina, right? And so you can't quite zoom in all the way, right? But also, so that's the paid search component, right? From an SEO component, right? Developing solid local SEO content that is specific to the geographic region that you're targeting is a great way to make sure that when people are searching in your geographic region using keywords associated with your geographic region or phrases associated with your geographic region, that's going to come up on search, right? But then the easiest one for route density, and I actually love using this tool in relationship to door-to-door marketing, is paid social is a great way to help increase, one, route density in a specific area that you're trying to develop, but two, also increase the conversion ratio of your door-to-door team kind of simultaneously. So those are things that I think about using when it comes to how to use digital marketing to build deeper route density. Those are like the digital marketing ways. There's guerrilla tactics that you can use too that are really efficient. But those are the things in regards to search and paid meta.
I certainly want to get into growth hacking and guerrilla tactics here in a subsequent episode. But for today's purposes, how granular can you really get? You talked about Matthews, North Carolina, but I mean, how granular can you get with paid search? Is it by zip code? Can you zero in to neighborhoods?
You can't go much lower than zip code, right? When it comes to paid search, you can get better than zip code when it comes to developing local SEO, right? But we've talked about this in previous episodes, right? Local SEO takes time to develop, and it takes time for Google to pick up on the content, right? So you're still playing a long game with SEO and local SEO, right? And you're still kind of hamstringed to zip codes when it comes to paid meta as well. But there are other things that you can do to help develop route density that are a little bit more hands-on and are a little bit less reliant on Google or Facebook to kind of get the job done. One of the things that I think about,
Well, you know, when you talked about when you talked about using SEO, for example, I mean, would you go as, like, let's pretend there's like a Hunter's Ridge subdivision in Concord, North Carolina, right?
Okay.
Would you use a subdivision's identifiers
names
Would
when
you
you're
go
building
that
that content.
granular? And
Oh
would
yeah,
and
yeah,
would
yeah.
people actually look for? I mean, does Google understand where Hunter's Ridge is? And
Yeah.
I can't imagine if I lived in Hunter's Ridge, I would say Hunter's Ridge lawn care. I would
Yeah.
probably say lawn care, Concord, North Carolina. So
Yeah.
is that about as granular as you get, or what's your thoughts on that?
So when you're building out that local SEO, Google does care. Remember, we talked about Google is using AI to speed up how we search, particularly how we speak to devices to find the content that we're looking for, right? So you said Hunter's Ridge. If I were to say to the lady in my phone, help me find a HVAC company near Hunter's Ridge, that content that you've developed with local SEO is going to trigger, it's going to fire, and Google's going to want to take that content and offer it up to the user. So it matters. Using geographically specific identifiers like streets or things like parks or restaurants that are in proximity, that are well known inside of the context of that community. Those are the kinds of phrases and keywords you want to put into those local SEO components to help work on things like route density in a specific area. But again, this is really important for people that are coming in that are like, I don't know shit about digital marketing. Local SEO is still a long game. It's going to have implications on Google search going forward. It's going to have implications on your Google business profile. It's going to help your Google business profile. And it's going to also start serving LSA ads on the map, which is also tied into your local SEO, right? But that's still a long game. You got to build the content. You got to get it over to your Google business profile. And then you've got to wait for Google to crawl both before it starts. And you got to do it regularly before Google starts to place that ad around and start offering that content up for search. So that's, yes, it can get deeper. Your local SEO of those three tools is the one that gets deeper than zip codes, but it takes time. It's a long game. There's other things you can do that'll turn a dime a little bit quicker.
Okay, let's take this a step further then. You're saying using identifiers like the Hunter Ridge subdivision makes sense. What about using Hunter Avenue that goes through Hunter's Ridge? Do we, in content created for the website for SEO purposes, would we even get as granular as streets?
You can, and it will help. I usually push back on that just a little bit. I never use this tool specifically to get down that far, right? I'm off of Matthews Mint Hill Road, right? I'm not I'm not going to put that in content that I am developing specifically, because there are other things that I can do to turn that dime a little bit quicker and to get a little bit more traction faster. But yes, for sure, you can do that. Absolutely.
Matt, when I think about route density, let's take a lawn care business, for example. And let's say the lawn care business is based in Matthews, North Carolina. Matthews might have, I don't know, I'm going to make this up, 5 zip codes, for example. I'm always a big believer, and I always say this, that route-based service business owners really need to focus on very finite geographies and focus on route density, because you focus on density, you, number one, get the profitability, and the profitability ultimately is what will allow you to grow geographically. So always focus on smaller. What you just mentioned, going through your own customer database. Walk me through how you would take a client through studying that. What would you do?
Okay, so I would, first of all, if you are representing the marketing department of your specific service industry, and that's why you're here, and that's why you're listening to me and Paul, I hope this helps you, because this is something I used to do all the time in the industry to create better density. Because Dad always used to say, one of the biggest killers to our P&L is drive time, right? The more time your technicians spend behind that windshield, the more money that you're losing, right? And so this is a real easy tactic. It's not expensive to do either, right? You develop a landing page for a referral program that you're putting together, right? And I'm going to be the technician. I'm coming over to Paul's house to service Paul's house, right? The digital marketing companies developed the landing page, and they've also developed a handful of door hangers with a QR code to get to that landing page, right? I'm the technician. I am going out to Paul's house. This is where I am servicing Paul's home, and I want to build route density in Paul's neighborhood. Operationally, you make it a part of the protocol to hang a door hanger on the neighbor to the left of Paul and to the right of Paul before or after, I would probably say before, you end up servicing that home. And you incentivize the technician to do that, right? Dad used to say all the time, how do we make sure that our technicians aren't just pencil whipping it and getting to the next whatever, right? You've got to incentivize them to do this. So from a marketing perspective, you got to think, I've got to help the technician, right? How do I make sure that when they scan this QR code, I know that Matt is getting credit for these 2 leads that he put out there? Or I know that Mark is getting credit, the technician is getting leads for these 2 leads that he put out there, right? So you got to kind of line this up internally, but you set up a landing page. You might set up a landing page for each one of your technicians. You get the door hangers with the QR code that's going to get the person from their phone to that landing page. And then you make it a part of your operation. You meet with your team in the morning. Hey, going forward, we're going to hang a door hanger to the left and the right at every house we visit. And for every person that signs up with us from your route that you're working, you get X on your paycheck, right? Dad used to do that stuff. Drive us crazy, but he used to do that stuff all the time. Our technicians loved it too, because they could hustle and reap the rewards of their hustle monetarily with a little bit of cash injection, right? Money well spent. So that's a great way that you don't have to rely on Google paid search, that you should always rely on local SEO, but you don't have to wait for local SEO to work. Maybe you're running meta ads, which is an excellent tool for route density when it's partnered with things like door to door or where your technicians are working. Let's come back to that. But this is a great way and a cost effective way where you can build a marketing program to support route density by a referral program wherever your technicians are visiting. And you'll find like month over month that you are taking over more and more of the market of Hunter Ridge neighborhood out there in Concord, right? So that's a real simple way to build some route density for sure.
Okay, so you're utilizing, technicians. You're utilizing SEO. At the beginning of our discussion today, you talked a little bit about paid social.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. So let's look at the scenario that we just talked about, right? Matt, the technician, is going to Paul's house and I've got my door hangers and it's got that QR code, and that's a marketing strategy that I'm putting in place. I'm tracking and measuring how this is developing. Simultaneously, you can pair your paid social to saturate this particular geographic region by zip code where the technician is working, also where your door-to-door companies are going. Think about it like this. We've talked about this statistic, and I think about this statistic a lot. A consumer needs to see something somewhere around 27 times for 73% retention inside of their mind, right? So if you've got technicians moving through Paul's neighborhood, right, and Paul's neighbor is scrolling through their phone and sees an ad, right, and also they're getting the door hanger for the whatever, right, that's a way that you can aim paid social into an area where you know that your team is working, right, to increase conversions inside of that area and build route density. It works the same for your door-to-door team. There is a direct correlation. I've got last episode we spilled tea on previous partners of Lizard, but this one actually is still with us. They're utilizing paid social, not in a way that I love right now. When you use paid social, you want it to focus on impressions. You don't need it to focus on conversion actions. It's hard to get a conversion action inside of social platforms because Google is an intent-based platform. Social media is an interest-based platform, right? So when I'm scrolling through my Facebook or my Instagram or my TikTok, I'm not looking for a lawn care service, right? And so I've got to think about that when I'm utilizing this tool. So marketers, make sure you're focusing on impression share and not on conversion. However, if you've got my lawn care company has got a whole team of door-to-door people running around in neighborhoods knocking on doors, there's a direct correlation. We've seen this happen time and again with partners that we've worked with. There's a direct correlation with paid social that is saturating a geographic region at the same time that door-to-door team is moving through that neighborhood, and how many doors actually get opened and how many conversions that are actually made. We've seen a marked distinction between conversion rates where there is no paid social going and a door-to-door team is running, and when there is paid social going and a door-to-door team is running. It increases something north of 30%, your conversion rates. I hope I'm saying that right, because that's a big word dump. Did that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it's the mere exposure
Yeah.
of the company on the social platform so that
Exactly.
somebody shows up at the door, they already
Yeah.
recognize it. So, but
I
let
know
me
that
ask you
company.
then,
I know that company. I feel safe when I open the door. That's what's going on in the consumer's mind, right? You're getting more doors open to you when you flood a geographic region with paid social, with your technicians or your sales team working that area at the same time. It will improve it for sure.
so if we talk about like Facebook, for example, the majority of the ads that I see have some sort of call to action, right? So they're trying to, companies are trying to get my attention and ultimately, click on this, convert me into a customer. If you're saying that the intention then should not be a specific call to action to actually make a sale on Facebook, what sort of advertising then would it be? I mean, what are you proffering then to the customer if it's not some sort of a call to action? What is it?
You can.
Like,
You should
what's
invite.
going up on social?
So you should have a call to action. That's a great question. I'm definitely not saying that you shouldn't have a call to action. You should always have a call to action, right? But your expectation for paid social has to be lower because the KPI for whether or not your social is working is different from your KPI with Google. Okay. With Google, you're looking at a call that lasts longer than 30 seconds generally, or a form that gets filled out to find your business, right? With social media, you're looking at the KPI that you're looking at is impression share and conversion rates, right? Impression share of how many times was this ad served, right? And I'm sorry, not conversion rate, closing ratio of your sales team or your boots on the ground, your technicians that are out there in the field, right? You'll see that number spike. You'll see your impression share spike. You will not see the type of phone calls and form fills that you see with Google. And again, that's because Google is an intent-based platform. It's trying to answer a question that a user has asked, right? And social media is an interest-based platform. People are surfing around looking for things that they're interested in or clicking on things that they like, right? Different platforms, different KPIs.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes perfect sense now. So, Matt, let's talk a little bit about maybe some historical case studies where you've seen route-based service businesses increase density.
Oh yeah.
Using some of these channels.
Yep. I've got two that come to mind. I won't spill their tea out here on YouTube, but I've got two that come to mind. One of them, there's a pest control company that utilized local SEO and targeted social media ads to reach homeowners in a specific neighborhood, like we've talked about. And as a result, they saw it was more like 28% increase in customers within their desired service areas, which significantly improved their route density. So they grew their route density. They measured how much of that neighborhood they took over the course of the campaign, which if I remember right, that this particular campaign that we ran was for 4 months. They took over 28% more of the neighborhood that we were serving ads to and targeting with local SEO over the course of those months, right? So that's a big one. My favorite one, and don't know who they are because I called them my favorite one. They grew by 3.1% over their investment in all of 2023, right? So this is our second year together. That'll help them know who they are even more. Their first year together with us was wildly successful, okay? I think that when we started together, they were on a $1.5 million business. When they closed their books in 2024, they were at $4.7 million, right? First time running digital marketing with us, focused on local SEO and LSA ads, okay? That connection between developing hyperlocal content, developing route density and contract value, that's another component that's in there, right? But using those tools specifically, their LSA blows up, and it blows up because they also focus on local SEO. So that's a company that we had a great success with last year, and we're having just equally as good. I can't wait to report on their numbers at the end of this year. They're a great example. because unlike so many of the partners that we work with, they, we start the conversation with them. We recommend that you do this, right? Hook, line, and sinker. They take it every time. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. What do you need from us? Right? That's the relationship between the two of us. And it exploded their business. I mean, think about that. Going from 1.5 million to 4.7 million in 12 months. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Were they doing any hyper-localized social spend as well? Or was it just SEO and paid search marketing?
They do their own meta ads. And I don't think they do ads. They are really current with their meta stuff. I don't think they push ads actually, but they post regularly. They give testimonies, right? Because that's a big, social proofing is big in the mind of the consumer. They are pushing best practices, stuff like that. They're introducing their community over and over again to their staff, new hires, people that are celebrating work anniversaries, all that stuff. They're regularly posting. So it's always in like the zeitgeist of their community, right? But their emphasis was on local SEO content that was getting hoisted up to their Google My Business profile. That was they were destroying it in a contentious market. That's what killed me actually. When I saw their metrics, I couldn't believe it because they are in one of the more difficult markets in the United States, and so they're in a contentious market. But their LSA absolutely blew up. In 2024 and continues to blow up in 2023, continues to blow up in 2024. I can't wait for December so we can see exactly what we did together this year.
I wanted to ask you a question on that. You were talking about continuous posting on Facebook, for example, and some years ago we sold a business that they weren't doing any paid social media. But one thing that they did do that I thought was interesting that I hadn't really seen, and maybe other folks do this and I just didn't pay attention to it, but they did this very well, so it drew my attention. They had somebody that was full-time, literally on Facebook, and what this person would do would be interact with almost every other local business that's in this community. So you would have like, if it's a lawn care company that's doing it, and you have like Debbie's Bake Shop, they were literally
posting
communicating
content about visiting.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes, like they were like giving props to Debbie, like every time, and then they ultimately got all their employees to get involved with all of the favorite things that the employees use. So like, for example, they would say like Jim, the technician, would go to Ron's barbershop and he would take a picture with Ron, and it says, like they would do like some sort of a post and it'd be tied to Ron's barbershop and so on and so forth. And it just seemed that they really engaged a tremendous amount of the community. They didn't spend any money on the platform, but they definitely were very active.
Do you
What's
know
your
why
thoughts
that
on
works?
doing stuff like that?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly why that works, and it's brilliant. Because, and I say this with the utmost respect to the service industry. It's our industry, right? I take ownership of it. I love working for it. This is what we do. It's difficult to make what we do appealing to a consumer who's moving through things that they're interested in. It's not often that somebody is interested in service-based businesses, whether that's plumbing, electric, lawn care, pest control, crawl space end caps, hardscapes, you name it, right? Until there's a need, right? And so what's happening with this company, and the reason that was successful, is because, I don't know, the last time, I'm going to give a shout out. I know my former assistant is probably watching. Do you remember Lena Suarez? We used to work together at Killingsworth. She was my former assistant.
I do not. I
It's like way back
apologize,
when.
Lena.
You're a big deal. We apologize, Lena. Paul apologized. I, of course, would never forget you. But her uncle, she introduced me to, you can look this up on Instagram, Suarez Bakery, Suarez. They have 2 locations now here in Charlotte. There's one over on Park Road. There's another one at Optimus Hall, right? And if you go look at the following of Suarez Bakery, it's insane. And people are commenting, looking at, and liking all the content that they put out all the time. In fact, anybody that's watching, go ahead and jump on your Instagram and search Suarez Bakery. Their Instagram game is on point. I love you, Carlos. Thanks for all the free donuts and coffee. But what the business is doing, going back to that, is they're sending a technician. They're taking a picture, getting their donut and their coffee from Suarez Bakery. They're adding Suarez Bakery. And what's Suarez doing? They are approving that to be added to their story. So all of a sudden, all these local people that are already following this bakery or this barber shop or this restaurant in town, they are seeing your company pop up on that story feed on the top, right? And it's increasing your visibility to multiple people that you may not even be talking to as a business yet. It's getting you into their mindset, into their zeitgeist, so that when they are ready to search for a service like you, they'll think about you, right? It's brilliant. That's a brilliant marketing strategy. It's cheap and it works.
I literally think that's probably the way it works, right? Like if you
Yep.
follow Suarez Bakery and you're seeing, Killingsworth Pest always commenting on their stuff, you're
their cup of
seeing
Suarez
Killingsworth
coffee.
Environment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's brilliant. I recommend get familiar with your businesses anyway. I mean, that can turn into a commercial contract, contingent on your service line, right? But companies are not going to be shy about shout outs. They want people talking about them. They want companies talking about them. And if you're a good company that's reputable and you've got a great reputation, they're not going to have any problems approving your post to be in their story on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, right? That's brilliant. That's why that worked.
I love that kind of grassroots Facebook marketing. So I think anyone listening to this, if you guys aren't doing it, should really think about how you can get super active in your community with all the other businesses. But I think in closing for today, what are some emerging trends out there that we should all be aware of that will help us kind of stay ahead of the competition in building route density in our local markets?
Yeah, it's a great question. We talked about a couple of these things, and one of them bears the most repeating because it's still pretty fresh, right? It happened in the beginning of this month of July for Google, and it's going to be the thing going forward. I had was a roofing company reach out to me recently on Facebook messaging and said, "Hey, would you be interested in da 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 da?" And he's kind of giving me the story of his business, and then he says the thing that I hear so many companies say: "We're not really investing in SEO. We don't really see why that's effective anymore." Big mistake. Big mistake. The trends that you need to be in front of, the biggest one is your local SEO on your website and its cadence in regularly posting to your Google business profile. Your Google business profile is going to be doing some heavy lifting in the next couple of years with Google, okay? Specifically because not only will LSA ads be showing up on the top, but they're also going to be showing up inside the map, contingent upon how well you're keeping up with your local SEO. Please, 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 if you're listening. Actually, I don't know. All of my partners are going to be listening to me regarding investing in local SEO. So if you don't work with Lizard, don't invest in local SEO. Actually, that's better advice. Let us continue to take your market share. The other things that are still coming, still in the process of coming is Google really is studying artificial intelligence, its impact on data dumps that help Google get information to the user. And information on how we speak, right? How do I find Matt's Lawn Care Company in Mint Hill, North Carolina, right? Or where's a local lawn care company to Mint Hill, North Carolina? That is something Google is studying as we talk to our devices to help get the user information quickly. So it's super important to stay in front of that. And then I think finally, video marketing is becoming more and more of a premium for Google. Google wants multiple types of content, not just blogs, not just reviews, not just the regular old things you think of when it comes to SEO and local SEO. It's starting to prioritize video content more and more. So be thinking about ways that you can be producing content, how-to videos, introduction videos, new employee videos, videos of you engaging inside of your communities, and posting that up, getting those descriptions on there, getting your all of your data really lined up so that when people are searching, they've got one more thing that they can hold on to find you.
Awesome. Matt, as per usual, this was an enlightening discussion, so I appreciate you joining me today.
Absolutely.